This is the Raw and Radical Women in the Arts podcast, and I am your host, Maureen Broadbeck.
Raw, unprocessed.
In each episode, we explore the mechanisms of identity, vulnerability, authenticity, empowerment, and social change through conversations with inspiring women who are making history and challenging the status quo in both the art world and in society.
Radical, rebel, progressive.
We talk about their real-life challenges and celebrate cis and transgender women so that you can be inspired, empowered, take action, and further your critical understanding about what it means to be a woman in the arts.
Woman, feminism. A revolutionary catalyzing reformation. Radical.
I am happy to welcome today Brigitte Renaud. Brigitte is a woman of many talents. She is the founder of an open-air art exhibition taking place every 4 years in the village of Mabuisson in the Jura Mountains in France called Pièces, Summer Piece, where they welcome and exhibit internationally renowned artists, amongst them Olivier Mosset, Alice Anderson, Soler Moma. She is also an aeronautical engineer and a woman that has a passion for art. Hi Brigitte, welcome to the show. You are here in my studio, so this is a gift. I love having people in my studio. You are an aeronautical engineer and you work now as a manager. And something very special you do is in 2013, you created an open-air exhibition that takes place every 4 years. And 2021 is the year where it takes place. It is called Pièces, which means summer piece. And please tell us about your life. Tell us about you and what you do and what got you started into creating an open-air art exhibition.
So thank you, Maureen, and thank you for hosting this podcast in your studio. It's so nice to be surrounded by colors. So my name is Brigitte Renaud, and as you said, I am an aeronautical engineer. I've done very scientific studies, but I have been lucky as well to have parents that have always tried to make me as curious as possible. And during my childhood, it was always, opportunity to visit a museum, to go to exhibition, and this is. I was really interested in architecture, and as a kid, I went to see the opening of the Claude Nicolas Ledoux exhibition in Arquesnan, which is a fantastic place. And this was, I don't know, I was 12 or 13, and wow, that was a wow. And since then, I started to look at all architect and all the history. And then I did my study, I became an engineer, I started to work in the aeronautical industry, and that was a huge opportunity for me to travel.
Yeah.
And traveling, I was going to cities, trying to see the most contemporary buildings, and often it was also contemporary art museum, and I really like that. And I say, well, sometime I need to do something about that. And while I'm enjoying the job I'm doing today, I needed something else. I needed also this more cultural space to do something about it. So it's in 2012 we created with a group of inhabitants of this little village in the Jura mountain, and we said, okay, we need this. All the events there were mainly sports events, and it was very rural territory, and we said, okay, we need to bring something, and that's where the idea of Pièces really started, and so okay, let's create an open air contemporary art exhibition, so to really give the people in the place and a free open access to art, without the wall of a museum, and that's where all the adventure started.
Yeah. And you know what I really like about this story is that you didn't come from the world of art per se. You didn't study art or art history, and it is really with passion that you decided to create this. So I really welcome this vision and this idea, because it means that everybody with passion and love can get into contemporary art and can start to really plant the seeds of something new. And this is very, very important.
Exactly. And I think it's when you see a piece of art, it's an emotion that you receive, and somehow by creating psdt and trying to get this event where it was to share this unique experience when you visit an exhibition, when you see a piece of art, and what's reaction it come to you. And for me, what was really to give back as well for everything I had received, to create this place where artists can meet and can build and create together also with the inhabitants, and really to get them really involved in all the stage of the art creation. So yes, there is the exhibition, but there is also all what is before, and really the most magic moment when a piece of art just is created. And I guess you are an artist as well. When do you say it's finished?
Yes. Yes.
and when you start discovering that, you say, wow, this is so much emotion. When you are with the artist and you come to this moment, and say, yeah, that's it, it's finished, and you see the emotion and. Yeah, and then you want to do it again, and that will be the third edition this year.
Yeah, this is excellent. So for you, it's very important, the collaboration with the inhabitants, the artist, and really to bring this gift to the artist of having a space, a playful space to create, to experiment, to maybe discover something new, and to really test maybe a new work or something. Can you tell us about this space you want to offer the artists?
Yeah, that was, we wanted this exhibition to really to welcome, artists from around the world, and we say, okay, but what do we have to give back?
Yeah.
As you said, we all the group that we are organizing that are not expert in art, and we are living with a passion, with our emotion and our goodwill, and the time we are giving to build this exhibition, to find money to fund it, and so on. And what we discovered is that effectively creating this open air space in a rural country was giving the artist a free space where they can really explore and try new things without the judgment of any museum or institution where there is all the code of contemporary art, and we experience that a little bit, and I think that's what we give the artist, is really a place where in the landscape they can invent something and they will not be judged. They can only be loved, and I think that's what really we can give to the artist, and it's great. And what's the feedback we are receiving from the artist is that, and also the pleasure to have this raw, very natural exchange with the inhabitants. And sorry for taking your raw
you should.
word. There's no trademark, I hope, but
No.
but it's really a very simple exchange, and it's so refreshing. That's what they are telling me. And I always remember, the first time in 2013 when I was at the Geneva airport welcoming Alice Anderson, and I said, well, what she's going to think? What she's coming from London, and I'm going to bring her to this little village in the middle of nowhere, and what I'm going to tell her, how can I exchange with her? We had all this fear and pressure, and in the end, it was so natural. And she came back for 4 years later, and she said it was so rich for her to have this simple exchange.
Yeah. So how do you curate it? How do you choose the artist, the artwork? How do you do all this?
So we don't do it. Actually, so no, because we are not art experts. So what we do, and we have, it was a very, when I said earlier we are out of institutions, I think there was one key that was very important to give the credibility to this exhibition, was still to have some advice from professional in terms of selection of artists, because we had no network, we don't know artists, and that we are, it's not just, okay, we know an artist, but know an artist. No, we needed professional here, and that's, we are organizing a selection committee where we invite professional museum director or curator, gallery manager to so there's 6, 7 or 8 people that we are professional that we are inviting and are taking part of a selection committee, and each one propose artists, and together it's a day, usually 2 years before the exhibition, where we meet with them, we discuss, and we create this list from their knowledge and their network, and that's how the artists are selected.
Excellent.
Or are invited, let's put it this way.
Yeah, super interesting. So you, as a woman in a business that is mainly
masculine.
That is mainly masculine, yeah, exactly. So how was it? What was your experience in this?
It started really also at school, at the engineering school. I remember we were only 10 women out of 150 in the year. So that's, but I think it was not always easy, and in then my professional life, everything is a little bit more difficult because you have to always prove what you can do, what you are able to do, and if you have an ambition to to grow in your career and become manager, like I had the chance to be able to achieve. It is not easy to be listened, and I think I really see things changing because the culture is changing, hopefully, and giving more space to women and more recognition. But it is a challenge. But when you succeed, you can be even more proud. And but I think the main challenge is the legitimacy. Initially, it took me many years to go over it and to really think, yes, I am legitimate. I was always seeing myself, okay, can I say that? Am I at the right place? And so on. And until, with getting more confidence, and I've been able to being more listened to because I've been able to demonstrate what I could bring and I could do. Then, I am recognized and I can, and therefore I can now help also other women. I have women in my team. I wanted to have the mixity also of and encourage women. We have to be those ones maybe that will help and plant the seed, as you said at the beginning in summer in our private company we are working for, that things are changing and will be much more natural going forward for women to really succeed and be recognized.
Yeah, because for artists as well, it's a big problem, legitimacy and feeling. It's more of an inner, emotional problem, how to feel that you are legitimate, even if the outer world doesn't especially recognize you. Do you have any tips you can share on how you achieve this and how you... I know, because it's something with experience and time and trial and errors you build little by little. But I'm always thinking that it's a good thing to really acknowledge what we did and what we're doing and where we're at, because the outside world doesn't think about acknowledging us.
But I think, the main work to be done is to maybe stop thinking or trying to anticipate what others think. And that's really the main tip. And to stop maybe asking the question, am I legitimate?
Yeah.
No, we are.
Yeah.
We are human beings. We have a right, and hopefully we are living in democracy. And, we are very fortunate on where we live, and it can't be wrong that we say something or we do something.
Yeah.
So we need to maybe stop thinking too much ahead. Yeah. And maybe be just raw and radical about what we want to do, and because men, and I hate to say women think like that, men like that, but I don't think they are asking themselves so many questions. So I think it's good, but we need to find the right balance on this anticipation culture that we have maybe as a woman of our generation with the education we have received.
It's true, we think a lot.
And too much sometimes.
We tend to overthink things. And asking ourselves too much questions, and also blaming ourselves for many things that go wrong, and feeling bad about it. And we have to learn how to do it differently.
And there is another thing that I hear more and more at work, and I think it's helping as well, is because of the pressure, because of a lot of things. One of the most difficult challenges is sometimes the relationship, between people. But at the end of the day, nobody is coming to work or is going to go to an exhibition to think, okay, what can I do today to really piss off someone else?
Yeah.
No, everybody is coming to work, hoping to do the best thing. Any artist is coming to create and say that, to be the most proud of what he's creating.
Yeah.
And we need to stop thinking that others can have this negative thoughts as well, I think.
But I've read somewhere once that people do the best they can, always. And that when you start to think from this perspective, it helps a lot, because
completely,
maybe the best they can is not good enough, but it's still the best they can. And most people start with a good intention, always. That's true.
And we may have different perspective. So sometimes what we could take by thinking it's a wrong or a negative opinion is just that others can have a different perspective. And it's not that they want to hurt or to be negative, it's because the perspective is different. And it's not that one is good, one is bad. It's just different. And we have to accept that. And it's like, I've been also engaged in Mabuisson, in the village, in the community where the exhibition is. It's a small village, 1,000 inhabitants, and I've been elected as a council member. And we had the challenge of accepting also sometime that we were not all in agreement for a given decision. But at the end of the day, it's democracy, and it's good that we have different view, different opinion, that we're not always in. It's okay. It is okay. When a decision is made, we follow it. But when we are looking for a decision, it's right to express, and everybody to express what they think. And I think that was a very interesting experience for me as well.
Yeah. So you told me that you started to be really interested in art in the Guggenheim Museum.
Yes.
And because you went to New York to see the Guggenheim, to see the architecture, and it's by going down that circular ramp that is quite extraordinary. Actually, it's a great place that you were looking at all the artwork. Can you tell me about this experience that got you into really that ignited in a way this passion in art, and that made you decide to create this open air exhibition?
Yeah. So it was in '93, I think. I had the opportunity to go to New York, and I said, okay, if I go to New York, one thing I want to see is the Guggenheim, because of this interest for architecture, and I thought that Frank Lloyd Wright was just, these buildings was just amazing, and that was telling me so much emotion. So I landed in New York at 2 p.m. and at 3:30 I was at the Guggenheim visiting it. And then I was so amazed, because I had seen the building until then in picture from the outside.
Yes.
And then getting inside and having this journey. So it's already like, psdt, you have a path. Huh?
Yeah,
but here in the museum, it was the first time that it was so much clarity in how you were to discover and not miss anything. Because effectively you go up and then you have this circle path with this full of light, but not direct light, just the right light to really experience all the paintings or sculpture that was there. And then you go around, and from time to time, when you circle, there are these little pieces that are not squared, that have this strange form, and that is making a very interesting dialogue with each of a piece of art that you see. It is not boring. And of course, the piece of art that you are there, I remember Chagall, Picasso, and it was so amazing and so much emotion that I say, wow, that was That was magic, and maybe that's why maybe I feel so passionate about having created this open air exhibition where we have a path as well. I mean, it's a 4 kilometer or 5 kilometer path where you go through different landscapes. You go through the forest, then you go in the village, and then you go on the lakeside. So you have this different landscape, this different emotion and for the artist also it's great. They have a frame to set their piece that are very different, and it's I hope it gives the visitor an interesting experience.
It's beautiful because it's symbolic of life and the experience you go through in life. So the festival is opening June 12th.
Yes.
And will be on until September 19th, which is 100 days of exhibition.
Yes.
Excellent. So I will link all the information on in the show notes of the website, so people can go click and discover the festival.
Yes, and we will have this year 19 artists.
Yes. And
among which 8 women. So we are very proud of that, and that's very important that we have the diversity, both in gender, but also where the artists are coming from, and also the medium of expression. Some will do installation, there will be paintings, there will be different to be discovered.
And in your experience, what about gender and gender fluidity in the art world, from your experience with it and the curators and gallerists and museum directors you've been collaborating with?
I think I've been very lucky because all the people we have been working with, and I think it's great to see that in 2021, women and man artists women have a place. And if I look at the history of art and you try to think what were the big women artists to remember, then it's a bit frightening. So it is really, really, really great to see that at least now in the conscience. I mean, there's no more just only men. Women have a place, and this can only stay and grow forward.
Yeah, and it's true that when you think about it, the work that every woman had to do, all the talks, all the work, all the seed planted, all the actions. So we arrived where we are now, and there's still a lot of work ahead, but for all the communities and everybody, still it's where you see how important it is that our actions are not for nothing, even if they're small. It's important.
And sometimes it's a lot of small actions that make the big steps.
Yes, and when you're in it, you don't realize it, that all you small actions are actually have or are going to have quite a consequence in the long term, in the long run. And we are so used to have everything immediate now that we forget that it takes time to change things and for ideas to grow, for ideas to be realized.
And it's something that for me is very important in Pièces, is that we are working a lot with the schools and children, because we think, that again, planting the seed, it's very important that from the early age, there is this curiosity and this opening to art. So there's a lot of focus in what we do to really welcome schools. So we have already 5,000, I think, scholars that are registered to come in June. We had to put with the pandemic and so on some restriction on number, but hopefully it's open air, so it's going to work. But it's great because every edition it's more. And what is even greater is when kids come during the week with their class to visit the exhibition, and you see them again the weekend.
Yes.
working with the parents.
They convince the parents.
And when you listen in and you hear them explain to the parents what, and that is just fantastic. And then it's when you've done something right.
Yes.
And I can only hope that it's also going to help planting a seed to help also recognize artists as really professional. Because another challenge we have with our exhibition is that as we are providing art in an open public space,
yes,
people feel that this is free and normal. And that it's normal that artists may not be paid and so on. And that is wrong. And that's something that we try to really be engaged to change the mindset. And I think, valuing what an artist is as a profession, to the younger is a way, I really believe is a way that we're going to change the mentality on that. I hope so.
This is great. Yeah, absolutely. Art is important and has an important place in society.
Yeah.
I think for people to open their mind, change their vision, see things differently, open new doors and possibilities. Yeah. One last thing, we discussed earlier this idea, which I think is quite important for artists, and the audience here is mainly artists. And one thing that's important is how people see them, how people that work with artists see them, because often as artists, we are insecure, we are emotional, we have all this. And I was wondering if you can say a couple words about this.
Yeah, it was very interesting, for the first edition in particular. It was completely new and as we were trying to engage inhabitants in working with the artists, so initially people, no, it's not for me, because people were frightened not to be at the right or able to talk, because we don't know anything about art, so we'll not be able to have a conversation. What we're going to say is silly, or no, I don't want, I'm scared, and it was very interesting that after the first artist came, and actually the first artist that came to Mabuisson, we engaged almost 80 inhabitants in working with the artist, and that created, and the first people who came said to their neighbors, I went, I registered myself and I went to work for hours with this artist, and then it created a word in the village, and everybody wanted to come and see, there was a bit of curiosity, and then they realized that, wow, it was normal, it was great, it was simple, artists were not really different from themselves. They had the same challenge, the same question. It was, and now people are proud to have worked with an artist and contribute to to the creation of the piece. And I think that's a great mediation.
Yes.
For art. So it was interesting, because what you say is that artists may be frightened of, but actually it was people that were more frightened to really engage, and we were able to make the encounter. And I think that's very important. I hope that one day I can maybe give even more time to art, but my ultimate project would really to create a place where people, they can be this encounter between artists and their viewers, and create this relation that is just not a silent exchange in front of a piece of art, but create this exchange. I think would be great, but I don't know how yet. But that's a bit of a
that's a seed.
It's a seed, yes.
Excellent. Is there anything else you would like to talk about or add?
The word that's come to my mind is emotion, and so maybe to say to all artists, encouragement and thanks. I mean, for the emotion they give, it's so important, and for the more than a year now, what we are going through, I think, and there's a lot of discussion on, having museum closed and artists being also very affected by that, having, lost the freedom to be seen, the art to be seen. And so I say, we need you, and I hope that things are going to become, with a new normal, but even better, because as you said, art is so important. It's an universal way of expression, and I really believe in that, and it's why it's so important. And it's always ahead of where we go tomorrow, so we need more than ever artists.
Yeah, thank you.
And women artists, of course.
Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. This has been a great conversation.
So thank you, Maureen, and yes, let's I wish, I think it's thousands of seeds, you're going to be proud, and you have to be proud.
I am really grateful I'm able to share this conversation with you today, because it proves that with love and perseverance, we can dream and create what we want. And this is a true inspiration for all of us. This podcast is supported by prohelvetia, the Swiss Arts Council, and the city of Lancy. We are so thankful for their support and commitment to culture, women, and the arts. Thanks for listening to Raw and Radical Women in the Arts podcast. Learn more about our featured artists and sign up for news and updates by visiting our website, rawradical.com.
Organic, radical, profound.
Please consider leaving us a comment and review on your preferred podcast listening platform to help others discover the show and take part in this global dialogue.
She, intuitive.
I am Maureen Broadbeck,
Fatal.
and until next time, keep the dream alive.
Woman.